She deleted all his messages. But I found them. What started as a feeling of doubt quickly turned into a shocking discovery. Hidden messages, secret meetings, and months of lies revealed the affair my wife tried so hard to hide. Every text, every photo, every secret plan brought me closer to the truth I never expected. John had never considered himself a suspicious man. Trusting Emily had always come naturally. They had been married for 6 years, built a home together, shared countless dinners, trips, and quiet late nights. He believed in their life like he believed in the sunrise. Until that ordinary Tuesday afternoon. It started innocuously. He was cleaning the bedroom, putting away old gadgets, when his hand brushed against a phone tucked behind a stack of dusty notebooks. It was Emily's old phone, one she had claimed was broken and useless. Normally, he wouldn't have touched it, but for some reason, a small curiosity nudged him. Maybe it was the way the sunlight caught the screen, reflecting off the smudges like tiny secrets waiting to be revealed. He powered it on. A lock screen appeared, nothing unusual. But when he swiped, the home screen told a different story. The messaging app icon sat there, tempting, innocuous, as if mocking him. He tapped it. All the chats were gone. Empty. Deleted. For a moment, relief washed over him. Maybe it was just her tidying up, clearing space, doing what anyone would do. But something in the way the folders were organized felt deliberate. Too neat. Too calculated. Curiosity became a slow-burning itch. He connected the phone to his computer, scrolling through cloud backups and hidden archives. That's when he saw it. Fragments of conversations, buried under layers of deletion. Words she thought he would never read. Conversations she assumed would remain invisible. At first, it was just a casual exchange. But soon, the tone changed. The messages hinted at something more. Something secret. You have no idea how hard it is to be around him. Being with you feels real. I can't explain it otherwise. Don't call today. He's right there as always. The name appeared. Mark. John's hands trembled, though he tried to suppress it. He told himself it could be a friend, a coworker, an old college buddy. Maybe Emily was just venting, letting someone in on private worries. But the words were intimate. The kind of words lovers exchange when no one else is around. He couldn't stop reading. The lines blurred into one long, suffocating reality. Each sentence tightened around his chest. Each fragment seemed to whisper, "You don't know what's really happening right in front of you." He didn't confront her that night. He didn't scream or make accusations. He sat in the dim light of their bedroom, staring at the old phone like it had become a live wire in his hand. For the first time in years, John felt a fear he had never known. Quiet, insidious, and utterly consuming. For hours, he scrolled. Patterns emerged. Late-night messages. Quick deletions. Vague excuses. The more he saw, the more he realized that Emily's alone time had never really been just for herself. And he understood something even more terrifying. This wasn't a one-time thing. It had been going on for months. The next morning, Emily came home as usual. She smiled, carefree, carrying her tote bag from the yoga studio. She hummed a little tune, waved at John, and asked how his day had been. He forced a smile. "Good," he said, tasting bile at the back of his throat. But John was no longer in the same room as her. The woman he had trusted with everything had built a secret life right under his nose. And now, he held the evidence in his hands. He didn't know what he was going to do next. All he knew was that the world he had trusted, the life they had built together, was now under a dark shadow. And Mark's name hovered over everything like a storm cloud he couldn't ignore. John spent the rest of the day pretending to be normal, going through emails, making calls, smiling at neighbors. But every glance at Emily made his stomach knot. Every casual touch reminded him of those deleted messages he could now read. They weren't just words. They were a map of betrayal, a trail he hadn't known existed until now. He tried to reason with himself. Maybe he was overreacting. Maybe Emily had made a mistake. Maybe there was an innocent explanation. But the messages weren't innocent. They were too precise, too revealing, too intimate. That night, he sat alone on the couch, the phone on the coffee table. The glow of the screen lit his face, showing the tension etched into his skin. He didn't sleep. He couldn't. He kept thinking about the next steps, about confronting her, about how to survive the storm that was quietly building in the house he thought was safe. And as he stared at the phone, a new feeling began to creep in, a cold, quiet determination. He would know the truth, every last piece of it, no matter what it took. Because for John, the line had been crossed, and there was no turning back now. The morning sunlight streamed through the blinds, cutting stripes across the living room floor. John sat at the kitchen table, Emily making coffee, humming softly as she moved. He tried to act normal, but the old phone sat on the counter between them like a ticking bomb. Emily glanced at it casually. "Is that my old phone?" she asked. John shrugged, keeping his voice even. "Found it in the drawer. Thought I'd see if it still works." She smiled lightly. "Oh, that thing? I don't even know why I kept it. It's probably full of junk." John nodded. "Yeah, just curious." Curiosity. That tiny word had begun everything. But it wasn't the curiosity of the moment. It was the obsession that had started the night before, digging through cloud backups and seeing what she thought he'd never find. He tapped the screen and opened the messaging app. Nothing visible at first, just the empty chat list. Then, a little notification icon blinked. Archived messages recovered. He opened it. "Mark, you think he suspects anything?" "Emily, no, he has no idea. I'm careful. Mark, I hate that. I hate that we have to hide." "Emily, I know, it kills me every day." John's chest tightened. He read it again. Each word seemed to echo in the room, louder than her soft humming. He waited for her to walk away to the bedroom, then whispered to himself, "This isn't just texting. This is something else." Later that afternoon, while Emily was out for errands, John went through more messages. The texts spanned months, carefully deleted but partially recoverable. Some were harmless, work talk, old jokes, but the intimate ones made his stomach turn. "Mark, I need to see you. Tonight." "Emily, I can't. He'll be home." "Mark, we'll find a way. I can't stop thinking about you." "Emily, me neither, but I'm scared." John ran his hands through his hair. "Scared? Scared of what? Him? Me? Or yourself?" he muttered. A sudden knock at the door startled him. He jumped and slipped the phone under the couch cushion. Emily walked in, groceries in hand, and laughed softly. "You scared me," she said. John forced a smile. "Sorry, just thinking." She set the bags down and raised an eyebrow. "About what?" "Work," he said. "Emails, deadlines." "You know." She shook her head, walking past him. "You always make things sound so boring." John stayed still, watching her move around the kitchen. Her back was to him, her hair swinging slightly, and for a brief moment, he felt the same warmth he always had. Then he remembered Mark. He pulled the phone back out from under the cushion. More messages, more dates, times, plans. And the tone was getting darker. "Mark, I can't sleep thinking about last night." "Emily, neither can I. But we can't let anyone know." "Mark, I hate lying to him. I hate looking at him every day while thinking of you." John's hands shook. He whispered to himself, voice tight. "Emily, why?" He didn't have to wait long to see a pattern. Every time Emily left the house, there were new messages. Every late-night call she pretended was work was actually a link to Mark. And every message revealed just how deliberate this had been. That evening, he asked casually, "You've been getting a lot of messages lately, haven't you?" Emily froze, just for a second. Then she laughed softly. "Why? Who told you that?" John leaned back in his chair, voice calm but cutting. "Doesn't matter. I just noticed. Wondered who keeps texting you at night." Emily smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Oh, just friends from work. You know, people checking in." John nodded, holding back a rising storm of anger. "Right, friends." She went to the fridge, humming again. John stared at the phone. The messages glowed on the screen like a secret he wasn't supposed to see, but now he could. And he realized something terrifying. He didn't want to just know the truth. He needed to know the truth. Every detail, every lie, every hidden meeting. Because when the person you love sends messages like these, it's no longer just about suspicion. It's about survival. The days that followed were unbearable for John. Every time Emily left the room, his mind raced. He tried to act normal, smile, talk about work or mundane things, but inside, a storm was brewing. That phone, those messages, they haunted him. One evening, he decided to test the waters. Emily was on the couch scrolling through her own phone, and John leaned casually against the doorway. "Hey," he started, trying to sound casual. "I noticed your phone lights up a lot when I'm not around. Who's texting you so much?" Emily looked up, blinking as if caught off guard. "Texting me? Oh, just friends, people from work. You know, nothing important." John narrowed his eyes slightly. Work? At midnight. She laughed nervously. Well, sometimes, time zones, clients, whatever. Don't make a big deal out of it. John didn't move. He let the words hang in the air. Silence filled the room for a moment before Emily sighed. John, you're acting paranoid, she said softly, trying to defuse the tension. Maybe, he replied evenly, though his stomach churned. Or maybe I'm just noticing patterns. You tell me when you leave the house, where you're going, but sometimes things don't add up. Emily's smile faltered. What things? John stepped closer. Like how often your phone lights up when you're supposed to be at yoga. Or how sometimes it's just gone. Out of reach. Who are you texting, Emily? Her eyes darted away, and for a second, he saw the tiniest flicker of panic. It's nothing, she whispered. Nothing, John echoed, his voice dropping. Because I found some messages, Emily. On your old phone. Messages you thought I'd never see. Emily froze completely. What do you mean? He pulled the phone out from his pocket and placed it on the table, face up, screen glowing. These, he said simply. She swallowed hard, glancing at the screen. John, go on, he said, calm but ice cold. Explain this. Mark. Who is he? Her eyes widened, panic flickering across her face. It's complicated. I didn't mean for it to. John shook his head. Complicated? This is months of secret messages. Months of lying. I trusted you. Emily bit her lip, tears brimming. I know. But it wasn't just like that. John's voice was low now, a dangerous calm. Then tell me how it was. Because from where I'm standing, it looks exactly like betrayal. Exactly like cheating. Emily looked away, hugging herself. I didn't want to hurt you. It just happened. I was lonely. I felt unnoticed. And Mark, he was there. I know it sounds terrible, but I didn't plan it. I didn't want this to happen. John's hands trembled. You didn't plan it? Months of secret meetings, texts at all hours, deleting messages, none of that was planned. Her voice cracked. I didn't think you'd find out. I really didn't. John stood silent for a moment, staring at her. Every word she spoke felt like a knife twisting in his chest. But beneath the rage and the betrayal, another thought took root, a need to know everything. Where did you meet him? He asked finally, voice barely above a whisper. Emily swallowed, her face pale. At a coffee shop. A few times. Then it got more personal. John clenched his fists. More personal? Emily, how personal? She couldn't meet his eyes. We kissed. And more than that. The words hit him like a hammer. He staggered slightly, trying to breathe. His world, the life he had thought secure, shattered into fragments in that small living room. John sank into the chair, feeling the weight of reality pressing down on him. I need to know everything, he said finally, his voice steady despite the storm inside. Every detail. Every time, every lie. I need to know the truth, Emily. All of it. She nodded slowly, tears streaming down her face. I'll tell you. I'll tell you everything. But please, don't hate me completely. John looked at her, cold and quiet. I don't know if I can ever forgive you. But I need to know the truth first. That's the only way I can even start to make sense of this. John spent the next few days in a state he could barely describe. Every movement Emily made, every glance at her phone, every whisper of her laughter felt like a hammer striking his chest. He needed evidence, something concrete, something undeniable. It was late Thursday evening when he decided to check their home security system. Nothing unusual appeared on the cameras at first. Just Emily leaving for yoga, coming back, small errands, everyday life. But he knew better. He could feel it in his gut. Then he remembered something. A backup of her phone messages had included image attachments, deleted images that he could still retrieve with the right software. Heart pounding, he connected the old phone to his laptop. The first few images were benign. A coffee cup, a park bench, a cat. But then he scrolled further. There she was, Emily, smiling at a camera that wasn't his. And next to her, Mark. Or rather, the man from the messages. He was leaning close, hand on her lower back, a gesture intimate and familiar. The kind of gesture reserved for someone in a relationship, not a friend. John's hands shook so badly that he had to set the laptop down on the table. He stared at the screen, unable to look away. He whispered under his breath. So this is real. It's not just words. He opened the next folder. More images. A coffee shop. A movie theater. A hand slipping into hers as they walked down the street. Every image a betrayal. every frame a confirmation of what his instincts had screamed for days. The next night, he tried to talk to Emily casually, but the conversation quickly turned tense. "Emily," he said quietly as she sat across the table, "you've been seeing him, haven't you?" She froze. "John, I don't lie," he interrupted, keeping his voice calm. "I have proof. Pictures, times, dates, everything." Her eyes widened, panic flashing. You can't. Those are private." "That doesn't mean." "It means exactly what it looks like," John said, holding his laptop open so she could see. The photos glared at them both, impossible to ignore. Emily looked down, biting her lip. I didn't think you'd ever find out." John leaned back in his chair, voice low but steady. "Emily, why? How did this even start?" She hesitated, tears beginning to well. "I felt alone. I felt invisible. You were always busy with work, or the house, or the kids. And Mark, he made me feel noticed again. I know it was wrong. I know." John felt a sharp pang, but he didn't respond. He just kept staring at the photos, letting the silence fill the room. "Do you love him?" John asked finally, voice almost monotone. She shook her head quickly. "No, I don't. I care about him. Yes, but I still love you. I didn't plan for this. It just happened. Just happened," John repeated, his eyes narrowing. "Months of it. Nights you were supposed to be at yoga. Days you went to work events. Just happened." Emily started to cry. I know. I'm sorry. I can't take it back. I wish I could. I didn't want to hurt you like this." John closed the laptop and sat in silence. The betrayal was tangible now, more than just words on a screen. He felt the weight of it pressing down, suffocating, leaving him exhausted and numb. Finally, he said, "I don't know what comes next, but I need space. I need time to think about everything." Emily nodded, wiping her tears. "I understand. I'll do whatever you need. Just don't leave me completely yet." John didn't answer. He didn't know if he could forgive her, but one thing was clear: he could never unsee the proof. That night, as he lay awake, images of Emily and Mark replayed in his mind like a broken movie. Every smile, every touch, every whispered word he wasn't supposed to hear. And for the first time, he realized the depth of the deception he had been living with, under the very same roof, for months. The storm was no longer a possibility. It had arrived, and there was no turning back. The evening air was heavy as John waited in the living room, the laptop still glowing faintly on the coffee table. Emily returned from a short walk, clearly sensing the tension. She froze the moment she stepped inside. "John, what's going on?" she asked, voice careful. He didn't answer immediately. He stood and walked slowly toward her, every step deliberate. His eyes were cold, unyielding, burning with a mixture of anger and disbelief. "Emily," he said finally, voice low but firm. "I know everything. Every message. Every secret meeting. Every lie you've told me for months." Emily's face paled. "John, it's not what it looks like." "Not what it looks like," he cut her off sharply. "Emily, don't even try to twist this. I have the photos, the messages. I saw the way he touched you, the way you smiled at him like he was the one standing in our house, not me." She stepped back, her hands trembling. I didn't mean for this to happen. I was lonely. I felt invisible. I never stopped loving you." John shook his head, his voice rising slightly. "Lonely? Invisible? So that excuses months of betrayal? Kisses behind my back? Secret texts? You call that love?" I was scared." Emily's voice cracked. "I didn't want to lose you. But Mark, he made me feel alive again, and I didn't know how to stop." John's fists clenched at his sides. He struggled to stay calm, to keep the flood of emotions from spilling over. "Alive? Emily, we built a life together, and you threw it away in the shadows for him." Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "I was weak. I made mistakes." "God, John, You made mistakes?" he interrupted, stepping closer so that their faces were only inches apart. "This wasn't a mistake. This was deliberate. Every hidden call, every deleted message, it was a choice. And you chose him over me, over us." Emily's voice softened to a trembling whisper. I know I was wrong. I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you like this. I thought I could handle it. But I can't take it back." John took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. "I don't know if I can forgive you. I don't even know if I want to. But I need the truth. Every detail. Every single thing. No more lies, No more hiding. Emily nodded, wiping her tears. I'll tell you everything. I promise. I can't erase what I did, but I'll be honest. No more secrets. John's eyes narrowed. And Mark? Where does he fit into this? Who is he really? Her head dropped, shoulders shaking. He's my friend. He was always there when I needed someone to listen. But it went further than that. I didn't plan it. It just happened. Just happened. John's voice was almost a growl now. Emily, months of lies. Months of hidden meetings. And you call that just happened? She flinched under his gaze. I didn't want it. I swear. I didn't want to hurt you. I made a terrible choice. John stared at her, silence filling the room like a living thing. He wanted to scream, to shout, to break something. But he stayed calm, controlled. Controlled enough to confront her properly. I need time, he said finally, his voice low and deadly calm. Time to figure out if I can even be in the same room with you without feeling this rage every second. Emily nodded again, her tears falling freely. I understand. I'll give you all the time you need. Please don't leave completely. I can't lose you like this. John didn't answer. He turned and walked toward the bedroom, leaving her standing there, broken, her sobs echoing in the living room. As he lay awake that night, he kept seeing their faces in those photos. Every smile, every touch, every stolen moment burned in his mind. The betrayal wasn't just in words anymore. It was physical, tangible, undeniable. And for the first time, John realized that the life he had trusted for years was gone, replaced by a shadow of deceit he could never forget. The following day was heavy with silence. Emily barely spoke, moving around the house like a shadow. John kept to himself, pretending to be busy, but his mind was racing. Every glance at her reminded him of the photos, the messages, the betrayal that had invaded their lives. Finally, he broke the silence. He had to know everything, every detail. Emily, he said, sitting down across from her at the kitchen table. His voice was calm, controlled, but there was an unmistakable edge of steel. I need the full story. No more hiding. No more lies. Who is he? Tell me everything, starting now. Emily swallowed hard, tears brimming in her eyes. She stared down at the table, her fingers twisting the edge of a napkin. John, it's not just someone random. He's someone you know. Someone close. John leaned forward, his stomach tightening. Someone I know? Who? Tell me his name. Her voice trembled. It's David. David Miller. John froze. The world seemed to tilt. David, his best friend. The man who had stood by him for years. The one who had been there on their wedding day. The one who had held their child as a godfather. He whispered, almost unable to believe it. David? My best friend. Emily nodded, tears streaming. I didn't plan it. I swear, John. I didn't want it. But it happened over time. He was always there, supportive, understanding, and I let it happen. I didn't know how to stop it once it started. John felt his chest tighten, a cold wave spreading through him. Months of this behind my back. My friend in my house with you. Yes, she whispered, her voice breaking. I know it's unforgivable. I can't take it back. I didn't want to hurt you. I truly didn't. John stood abruptly, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. I trusted you. I trusted both of you. David was like a brother to me, and you. His voice cracked, then steadied. How long? Months, she admitted, sobbing. Maybe almost a year. It started with small texts, then coffee meetings, and then, I don't know, I lost control. John's hands were shaking, but he clenched them to stay upright. He couldn't scream. He couldn't hit something. He couldn't even cry. He just stared at her, feeling the world collapse around him. So, everything you lied about, every night out, every errand, every late meeting, it was him? He asked quietly, almost in disbelief. Emily nodded, wiping her tears. I didn't want it to happen. I kept hoping I could stop. But I couldn't. John ran a hand through his hair, trying to calm the storm of emotions inside him. And the photos, the messages, the hand on your back, the smiles, the kisses, all of that was real. Yes, she whispered, her voice almost inaudible. I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you this way. John sat back down, feeling hollow. The betrayal wasn't just Emily. It was his friend. It was everything he had believed in. It was the life he thought was safe. Emily reached out, her hand trembling. John, please. I love you. I made a mistake, a terrible mistake. But I still love you. John looked at her, the truth of her words clashing with the reality of her actions. Love, he repeated, almost to himself. You call this love? Months of deceit, lying, hiding, and you call this love? Emily's sobs filled the room, echoing through the walls. I know it's not enough. I know I've ruined everything. But please, don't leave me completely. I'll do anything to make this right. John's face hardened. He didn't answer. He didn't know if he could. How could he face the woman he loved, knowing the man he trusted most had been the one she turned to? How could he ever see either of them the same way again? That night, as John lay awake, images of Emily and David replayed in his mind like a broken film reel. Every smile, every touch, every secret moment invaded his thoughts. And one terrifying truth settled over him like a storm. The life he had trusted for years was gone, replaced by shadows, lies, and betrayal, closer than he could have ever imagined. The house felt colder than ever that evening. John sat in the living room, staring at the darkened screen of his laptop, images of Emily and David replaying in his mind. Every detail, every smile, every touch burned into him. The betrayal was no longer abstract. It was physical, undeniable, and devastating. Emily came into the room quietly, as if trying to approach him without disturbing the storm brewing in his chest. John, she began, her voice tentative. He didn't look up. Don't, he said, his tone flat. Don't even start. She hesitated, then sat down across from him. I know you're angry. I know I've ruined everything. But please, let me explain. Let me. John finally looked at her. His eyes were cold, unreadable. Explain? There's nothing to explain. You betrayed me. Not just once, but months. With my best friend, no less. I trusted both of you and you. Emily flinched, tears spilling freely. I didn't mean for this to happen. You didn't mean for this to happen, he interrupted sharply. Emily, this didn't just happen. You chose to lie. You chose to hide things. You chose him over me. Months of choices. Every single one deliberate. And now you want to call it an accident. She shook her head, sobbing. No, I wasn't thinking clearly. I was lonely. I felt invisible. He made me feel alive. But I still love you. I never stopped loving you. John leaned back, his voice low, cutting through the quiet room. Love? Do you think love looks like sneaking around, hiding texts, planning secret meetings? Love doesn't exist in shadows, Emily. This was all lies. And now, I don't even know who you are anymore. She reached out, trembling, desperate. Please, I can fix this. I'll do anything. Just don't leave me. John shook his head slowly. It's too late for fixing. Too late for excuses. Too late for lies. All I can do now is decide what to do with the truth you've forced into my hands. Emily's sobs filled the room. I'll do anything, John. Anything. I'll go to counseling. We can start over. No, he said firmly, his voice leaving no room for argument. I'm not making promises I can't keep. You made your choice. Now I have to make mine. And right now, I can't be in the same room with you and feel safe, or whole, or anything. I need space. I need air. I need to breathe without seeing the betrayal in front of me. Emily stared at him, her face pale and tear-streaked. So you're leaving? John didn't answer. He didn't need to. His actions spoke louder than words. Slowly, deliberately, he began gathering his things. His suitcase, his work bag, every item he could carry, he packed. Not in anger, not in haste, but with the calm certainty of someone who had made a decision he could not undo. Emily's voice trembled. John, please. I'm begging you, don't go. He paused at the door, his hand on the knob. You've had months of secrets. Now it's my turn to live in the truth. And that truth doesn't include staying here. With that, he walked out, leaving Emily standing in the living room, the weight of her own actions crashing down around her. Outside, the night air was sharp, almost cleansing. John breathed deeply, letting the cold air fill his lungs. For the first time in weeks, he felt clarity. The pain was still there, the anger still raw, but for the first time, he had direction. Inside, Emily sank to the couch, sobbing uncontrollably. The house was silent, except for the ticking of the clock. And for the first time, she understood the full scope of what she had destroyed. Not just her marriage, but the trust and life she had taken for granted. John didn't look back. He walked down the street, each step carrying him further from the woman he loved, from the friend he had trusted, from the life that had been shattered in the shadows of betrayal. And as the night swallowed him, he realized that the only path forward was through the cold, through the emptiness, through the undeniable reality that some things, some people, cannot be saved, no matter how much you want to. The weeks that followed were heavy with silence. John had moved into a small apartment across town, needing space to think, to breathe, to reclaim the life that had been stolen from him. Emily called sometimes, left messages filled with apologies and desperate pleas. But John rarely responded. He wasn't cruel. He was protecting what little peace remained in his heart. He spent his days at work, walking the city streets, reconnecting with old friends, and slowly rebuilding the version of himself that hadn't been consumed by betrayal. At night, he often sat by the window, staring at the city lights, letting the memories settle like dust, neither erasing them nor dwelling on them too long. One evening, Emily called. Her voice trembled. "John, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I wanted to say goodbye properly. I'll respect your space." John listened quietly. For a moment, he almost responded, almost let the familiar warmth and fear of loss break through. But he stayed silent. I, I hope someday you can find happiness," she continued. "Even if it's not with me." John let out a slow breath. "Goodbye, Emily," he said finally. The phone went silent. And for the first time in months, John felt a strange sense of closure. Not forgiveness, not absolution, just clarity. He had survived the storm, faced the betrayal, and walked out the other side stronger, colder, and wiser. He thought about the messages, the photos, the secret meetings. About David, the best friend who had turned into a stranger. The pain was still there, a scar etched into his memory, but it no longer controlled him. One night, late, he pulled out Emily's old phone one last time. The screen glowed softly. He opened the recovered messages, not to relive them, but to remind himself of the truth. Every word she had written, every hidden plan, every betrayal. He read them once, slowly, letting the anger and hurt pass through him. Then he deleted everything. It was symbolic. Not forgiveness, not forgetting, but moving forward. Life went on. He went back to routines, to small joys, to quiet nights where he could think without the weight of lies pressing down. Sometimes he wondered if he would ever truly trust again. Sometimes he imagined what his life would have been like if Emily had chosen him over Mark. But he didn't dwell. He had learned a lesson far more important than love alone. Trust, once broken, cannot be mended by words alone. Months later, he sat on a park bench, watching the city around him. Couples walked by, children laughed, and the world moved forward. John took a deep breath, feeling the cold air in his lungs. He was free, not because he forgave, not because he forgot, but because he finally accepted the truth and chose to live in it, unafraid of what came next. In the end, the betrayal had taken much, but it had also given him clarity, strength, and the understanding that some truths, however painful, were necessary. The lesson was simple, yet profound. The most terrifying betrayals come not from strangers, but from those closest to us, and the courage to move forward is the only path to reclaiming life. And as the sun set over the city skyline, John realized he was ready to begin again, not with Emily, not with anyone else, but with himself.